Freedom, man. That's what it's all about.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all, you're listening to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host Mark Passio, my website, whatonearthishappening.com. Today is Monday, December 21st, 2015. It's the winter solstice today, the first day of winter. Hope everybody's having a good holiday season, if you believe in all that kind of stuff. And even if you don't, I hope you're having a good winter season. We have a great show lined up for you here tonight, folks. We're going to be talking about a topic that is really near and dear to my heart and something that I haven't really talked about too much on this radio show and in any of my podcasts or videos. I have been wanting to do a show about music for a long time because music is such a popular influence in society, and it's been such a huge part of my life since I was young that it's a topic that I really haven't covered nearly as much as I want to. And today I'm going to be getting into it in a big way with a good friend of mine and my bandmate in the Founders, Mike Thompson. So he's going to be the guest on the radio show today. So that's coming up on this edition of What on Earth is Happening. Just a few quick housekeeping things and a couple of announcements. I want to let everybody know that I am going to be giving a new live presentation coming up in February of 2016. This is going to be another presentation hosted by Art Capozzi, who hosted both my natural law seminar and my original Demystifying the Occult seminar. Those were done back in 2013 and 2014. So this new presentation is going to be live in Philadelphia in February. The exact date is going to be forthcoming, but I want to start the promotion for it now because this is going to be a great live seminar that's going to actually be consisting of myself and Jay Parker. And the title for this entire seminar is going to be called Demystifying the Occult Part 2. Satanism and the Dark Occult. This is something that I only very, very briefly touched on in the first Demystifying the Occult seminar, and I think this is a topic that needs to be given more attention and clarified in people's minds, explaining to people exactly what is Satanism compared to what most people think that it is, and explain to people how this dark religion operates in the world. So, Demystifying the Occult Part 2, myself and Jay Parker, we're going to be talking about Satanism and the Dark Occult. This is going to be taking place in February of next year, February 2016, new live presentation, and this event is going to be hosted by Art Capozzi. This will be taking place, I have the venue, although we're still trying to work out the finalization of the date and time, but the venue will be the Ethical Society of Philadelphia in Center City, Philadelphia. So it's a great venue. I've spoken there before as part of the Tesla Science Foundation's events that they have had at the Ethical Society. So it should be a really great overall all-day seminar with myself and Jay Parker. There is coming up one of, if not the biggest conference of its kind, Free Your Mind 4 coming at us in April of 2016, April 15th, 16th, and 17th. Free Your Mind is a conference on consciousness, mind control, and the occult. And Free Your Mind 4 this coming year will be hosted at the Sheraton Bucks County Hotel, the same place that Free Your Mind 3 was hosted. The Sheraton Bucks County, it's another great venue. This hotel is at 400 North Oxford Valley Road in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, just outside the city limits of Philadelphia. Free Your Mind returns to Philadelphia in 2016 with a 3-day conference featuring top caliber whistleblowers and researchers from across the country who will shed light upon our world's problems and bring forward empowering solutions, spreading awareness on the topics of consciousness, mind control, subversive occult influences, holistic body, mind, spirit health, and solution-oriented approaches to the problems humanity faces in these challenging times. The speakers lined up for Free Your Mind 4 are as follows: Bob Tuskin, Kathy O'Brien, David Whitehead, Freeman, Jamie Hanshaw, Jay Parker, Janice Barcelo, Jim Mars, John Vibes, Jordan Maxwell, Josie Wales, Ken Rolla, Laura Eisenhower, myself, Mark Passio, Mark Phillips, Mary Sean Young, Max Egan, and Ross Ben. An all-weekend pass for the Free Your Mind 4 conference, $169.99. Individual day passes, $59.99. Tickets are available and have been available at freeyourmindconference.com. The conference's website, freeyourmindconference.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're at all into any of the information that has been and continues to be talked about on this podcast or in the truth community in general, Free Your Mind 4 is not an event you are going to want to miss, because this conference really brings people together from all over this country and many other countries as well, who have a thirst for truth and knowledge and want to come and gather and meet with like-minded people. And that's what a conference of this kind is all about. It's about getting people together, forging relationships, forging alliances, if you will, and bringing people together who are interested in truth and freedom. So Free Your Mind 4, Sheraton Bucks County Hotel in Langhorne, PA, April 15th, 16th, and 17th. Don't miss it. The conference website, once again, freeyourmindconference.com. There is a donation button on the front page of the whatonearthishappening.com website on the left-hand side of the page. If you feel that the information that has been shared freely on this podcast and through my videos is of value to you, feel free to make a voluntary donation to help support my work and myself. That is, again, on the left-hand side of the whatonearthishappening.com website. Also on that left-hand side, there is a link for What on Earth is Happening promotional t-shirts. I still have plenty of these available. They will also be available at the Free Your Mind 4 conference. I think I might even have another design, possibly. We'll see how it goes. But the t-shirts are still available. They have the all-seeing eye design on them. Really great redesigned logo that says truth, love, and freedom, and above it reads one great work. So if you're interested in that, click that link and it'll send an email over to me, and I'll tell you how you can pick up a What on Earth is Happening promo t-shirt for a voluntary donation. So I think that's all the event announcements and other housekeeping that I have for right now. Actually there is one more. I want to let people know that the Founders will be playing live here in Philadelphia in February as well. February 27th, we have another show coming up here in Philadelphia. This is my anarchist hardcore punk band. Really going strong so far, making waves in the city. People talking about the band, and if you're in the area, come on out and see us on February 27th. That's a Saturday night, and we'll be playing at Connie's Rick Rack, a local establishment that promotes local music. So that's in the Italian Market section of South Philadelphia. I'll have a flyer for that made pretty soon, and we'll promote it here on the site and on the founders.us, our website. Speaking of the Founders, my guest today is the lead guitarist of the Founders, Mike Thompson. Mike, thanks so much for coming on to the show today to have a discussion about modern music.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah,
absolutely.
This is something that needs to be spoken about in depth.
Oh, without a doubt. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while, and something that I'll probably do in somewhat of an ongoing basis with people like yourself who are knowledgeable about, music in general, especially music that involves a powerful and needed message, and music that is really about rebelling against this system of control and slavery that we find ourselves in. So I guess my first thing that I'll throw out to you is if you want to tell the listeners about how we became involved in the current project that we're in, that backstory, we could start there.
Sure. In fact, the Free Your Mind conference that you were just speaking about, that's where the beginning of the Founders actually, that's the very start of it, where I met DJ, our other guitar player, and we hit it off. We began speaking about music, but also, moreover, we agreed on the same points as far as what the system was doing to society and how it was destroying the fabric and morality of society. And that's essentially where I came in to, the circle of friends, where we ended up on the 4th of July getting invited over to your place. This is before you and I began hanging out. And that was when the band actually formed that day, on Independence Day. And, ever since then, we've forged a great relationship, and, we agree on the same points that we need to free humanity from slavery.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember that day clearly in my mind. We were having a cookout out in my backyard for 4th of July, and you came over with DJ, and you guys were asking me about the project that I was trying to get started musically, and I was telling you how poorly it was going because some other people that I had involved, weren't really dedicated to it, and it was kind of falling apart. And I felt like this isn't something that I'm going to be able to take live or anything like that. And you said, well, what kind of music is it? And I was telling you it was hardcore punk, and you're like, well, I play guitar, and I love that kind of music, so. It was kind of like, I was showing you the prototype of the logo that I was trying to work out with the artist at the time. And, kind of everything just kind of like synchronistically gelled. It synchronistically blended. Absolutely. And then DJ was talking about that he plays guitar, and, he would want to be involved in a project that talks about topics such as this. And it just kind of almost like, it really just came together that day where we said, we have people who are very interested in it. Again, also our other guitarist, Carrie, was there that night, and our drummer, Jared. And, it really just came all together suddenly, like without even anybody pushing it or expecting that this was going to turn into a project. We just all kind of like were talking and realizing we had a lot of interest in the same kind of music and, of course, the same message. And, that one thing led to another, so to speak, and the rest is history, as they say. But very synchronistic, very synchromistic. Absolutely. That the band would get started on the 4th of July. That would be the place where we met and talked about this project, and then, agreed to start meeting and writing some music. So, couldn't have planned it that way if we tried.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I guess what I really want to get into is the state of modern music, and specifically, to just open up a topic, rebellion in music in general, but specifically the genres of music that were supposed to be about rebellion.
Yeah.
Metal, hardcore, punk. These genres were supposed to be about saying, screw the system. Exactly. We want no part of this immoral system of control.
Yep.
And infusing a message of rebellion and standing up, through the discordant types of sound that it puts out, like shaking people, making them pay attention.
Yeah.
What do you have to say regarding that general gist of that these genres were really supposed to be rebellious in their nature, and what's your view of what has happened to them?
Well, what I see today and what it's become is a part of the control system. What I see is the opposition controlling rebellion, controlling the rebellious nature within mankind, and specifically within this art form of music itself. And you can see over the years how it's just little by little been bred right out of people, and why it's so necessary right now to be that mindset, to live it and to bring it to people, because it has been taken away from these genres of music because of how powerful it is. The message itself that could be given to somebody through an art form like this, so readily available, is beyond reading a book, beyond sitting through a lecture. It's far more condensed and straight to the point. And, I see why they're doing it and what's happening within these genres of music and the lack of rebellion that's taking place within that. And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
It's so much, with music as an art form in general, so much can be said so quickly, with so few words. Whereas explaining a concept, for example, in a lecture or presentation, it often has to be elaborated upon. But because you're giving things in a structured, organized way that's has a sound accompaniment and it has a mathematical nature when it comes to music, you're structuring words in a way that they have to be efficient and they have to convey the message quickly. Rappers I find are very, very, very good at this. I'm amazed sometimes in conscious rap how few words it will take them to put a message out that's so, distinct and clear and powerful.
Exactly.
So I totally agree with what you're saying regarding the hijacking of these musical genres. I mean, they've been turned into more scenes and hangouts and identities and fashion statements.
Feel good.
Yeah.
Lacking completely any rebellion whatsoever. All it's become is a way of fitting in, not questioning authority, not going against the grain, and that right there is giving up your right to think. And I have to say that that's been done a little too well, because we're seeing that too much within the musical scene today.
You talk about kinds of music that are popular, that don't contain any hint of rebellion at all. Pop music, things that you'll see at, music awards programs, things that you'll see on, if you do see any music on like MTV or VH1 or any of these other channels. It's just, it's so sanitized of any kind of a real message, a message that matters. So many people are even fearful of putting in a message that matters in music anymore, because it's like, oh, you're taking yourself too seriously, or why are you trying to interfere with my time to be entertained?
Right.
You're trying to get me to learn something or pay attention to something, or God forbid care about something. I mean, can you speak to that aspect in modern music?
Yeah, I mean, that goes into the control mechanism that is taking place right now, where I did mention, the feel-good aspect of it, where people just want to feel good. They don't want to think critically. They would rather be on the side of popularity than to be on the other side, where, when you are a truth seeker, you're usually ostracized, because other people don't understand what you're saying.
Right.
And
people fear that ostracization.
Absolutely.
Because they want to belong.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to be more popular so that they can get more well-known, more famous, if you will.
Exactly.
And therefore they are removing that message to be accepted, just for acceptance. So it's like, it's a catch-22. Yeah, do we want our music out there? Yeah, but we want it out there for a reason. We want it out there so it will help to awaken people.
Exactly.
People will pay attention to what we're actually saying in it and think about those themes.
Yeah. I mean, again, that goes back to paying attention, which most people aren't doing when they're listening to music or even what they're watching on television. They're busy trying to be just distracted. They want that distraction. They love it, unfortunately. And when it comes to music, they're not, most of the time people are not paying attention to the lyrics even.
Yep.
They don't know what's being pumped into their psyche and their subconscious most of the time.
Sure.
Because they don't even know what they're being told. And that's a dangerous thing. And that seems to be what's been taking over the minds of people,
Yeah, that's why I've always been interested in hearing what a band has to say. Bands who don't have much to say and don't have a message in their lyrics never held a huge appeal to me.
Right, same here.
I was always a lyric reader. I wanted to hear, why is this band bothering to write a song?
Exactly.
A lot of people don't even think about that. They're just all about the music, but they don't even recognize, like, if you're going to write a song, what are you trying to say by the song? Isn't it supposed to be an expression of a message, through a different medium, in this case, music?
Right.
And most people just don't care about the lyrics of music, and they, like you said, they just let it slip right into their subconscious. I mean, the lyrics we're writing are very deliberate. They have a deep message to them. The message is rebellion and freedom.
Exactly.
And, that's a huge part of what we do as the founders, because we want people to sit and listen to our music and read the words that we're putting out there. And, of course, we want you to hear the music too, but when we get good recordings of this, I think people are going to realize, how much we're pushing the envelope of this genre of music. And, it's a little bit difficult to hear live because, there's a lot of difficulty associated with not only presenting a band properly live, but also recording it. But when we get some studio recordings, I think people will really clearly be able to hear what this band's really all about.
Yeah.
I want to shift the discussion into a little bit talking about like music's role in society, or moreover, its perceived worth in society. Because, you have so many people that look at music, it's just, you're going to just become another starving artist, and so many people don't even want to be associated with people that perform, that put out art in all different forms, whether it be, traditional art, painting, drawing, etc.
Right.
Art through making videos, through making music. I mean, you just, what's your view of how music is, how it's viewed, its perception, its worth in society?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, when you take a close look at what's going on, it's easy to see that people, most of the time, I mean really most of the time, need to be told what to think, what to feel, how to believe in what they believe in. And a lot of the time people are told what is popular, what is pop culture, what you should be paying attention to by the mainstream. And unfortunately, a lot of people, this is the way their mind works, that they go toward that. It's a moth to a flame, essentially. They go right for that, and they will bite the bait, and they do it almost every time. And unfortunately, bands like us that are going out and speaking the truth and doing it on our own, we're not telling people, what to believe. This is not an opinion. This is the truth. This is what the truth is. It's unbridled, and whether you like it or not, that's your problem. You could take it or leave it. But I'm telling you, from what I see, it's a lot of it has to do with the fact people need to be told what to think and what's popular.
Right. And they flock toward what they think is secure, what they think is safe. Exactly. I see this big time in a lot of people, even out in the music circuit. They want the maximum safety. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go anywhere where the boat's being rocked.
Right.
It's part of, the whole topic of last week's show, which was courage. Courage is so lacking in society. It's no different in the music circuit.
Completely.
A lot of people just want to run away from anything that is real. Continuing with that, I think it's been increasingly difficult to get people excited about music, to get them to want to come out and support music. I mean, this was a problem, when I was a little bit younger doing music as well, and it hasn't really gotten much better. What's your view on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, people tend to say that with technology that we've allowed ourselves to gain convenience, when I don't see that. I mean, in certain respects, yes, but people also will say that, and this is just a blanket statement, I mean, that it brings us closer together when it doesn't. I mean, in fact, it's brought us further apart, where people would rather just watch online or they're not willing to go out and support something in person,
right,
because they're taking a gamble on their satanic mindset of what I can do for myself, what's going to benefit me. And if I go out and I don't enjoy myself, and God forbid, but
can't take a chance.
Yeah, yeah. And especially with a band that has a message like our band, the Founders. I mean, we are speaking out against the establishment, which most people are afraid to do.
As a matter of fact, when you even mention that that's what you're about, you see the fear come over people's minds, come over their facial expressions, all of it, their body language.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're going to talk about that now. You know? Oh, where can I run to?
Yeah.
Because they're cowards. I mean, that's what it really comes down
Absolutely.
to.
Absolutely.
It's like they just wouldn't stand up for themselves if they were being forced into a prison camp. That's how late they'll wait.
Yeah.
And then probably won't even do it then.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What about people who just use the music scene, quote unquote, to be just that, scenesters, to be people who are just there for fitting in and trying to make friends and don't even really care about the music. They're more interested in, what's the fashion that's going to go along with this kind of music, or what kind of friends am I going to be able to make here at this club, or at in this new scene. What do you think of scenesters? As if I need to really ask that.
I see them to be just as vile as the controllers that are ruining the fabric of society. I mean, whether you're willingly ignoring or you just don't know, I mean, you're being a part of this system that is distracting people and demoralizing completely the minds of people. I don't have any appreciation whatsoever for somebody that wants to ignore the truth. I mean, it doesn't take much to look around to see the state of the world that we're living in, and if that's the way you want to go by ignoring it, then you're just as much a part of the problem.
I'd say they are the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. We have a song in the band about people who are inauthentic and just, trying to fit in, And they're the kind of people who will, actually be vocal and talk out against people who are genuinely into this for bringing a message, because it's almost like, oh, you're ruining my good time vibe.
Right. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Founders aren't here. I mean, yeah, we want people to hear our music and have a good time at our shows, but we're not here to placate people and tell them what they want to hear. Right. We're here to bring a strong, powerful message of truth in and infuse that into the music and make that a part of the entire experience. We're not here to just have a good time vibe flowing at every moment at one of our shows. We're going to say uncomfortable truths, regardless of how that makes people feel. Exactly. Just like I do in my presentations. It's like we're not going to sugarcoat what's going on in the world. We're just going to put it to some cool hardcore punk music and let that be a different vehicle for the expression of this message. Yeah. So we'll get into maybe some of our individual songs before we start talking about some other topics too, so we could give people an idea of what lyrically, message-wise, this band is all about. But essentially, I didn't really talk about your background at all. Maybe we could start there. How long have you been playing guitar? What are some of your influences musically? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can get into what we're doing with the Founders as far as our message goes.
Sure. Well, I'm a lover of music from a very, very young age, and I always found the expression of anything artistic through sound and vision to be a very powerful vehicle, for anything. And at a young age, I fell in love with rock and roll and punk rock, and saw bands like the Ramones and Jimi Hendrix and saw that, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to get up there and do that. And over the years, I realized as I grew into my teenage years what real, rebellion actually was, and what it stood for. You know, it wasn't just saying, hey, I'm going to go against the grain. It was looking at the state of the world. And the punk rock that I got into was very much like that. A band that I think we both can agree on. The Exploited, I got into at a very young age, and they talk out against the system, and I couldn't believe the powerful message that they were bringing. That it made me want to be somebody to be able to bring that message. And essentially, I've been playing guitar since I was 13 years old. I'm now 31, and I've never put it down, no matter what it seems to be as far as being unpopular, because it seems that, you know, artistic value is not really appreciated.
Right.
And there's a reason for that.
It's not making a ton of money. It has no worth in society, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes into the socialist movement that wants to control that, you know, where, you know, that's not being supported. So, you know, I never gave up on that. And, yeah, I mean, the bands that I played in the past, I didn't really have other like minds, you know, as far as what I believed in. As far as the genres that I was into, that's something that we agreed upon. And, you know,
yeah, we like heavy music. I mean, we like heavy guitar, riff-driven music.
Yeah.
You know, with heavy drums. And it's a personal taste preference. Obviously, not everybody's going to like this band, you know. That doesn't mean that we're not good at what we do. That doesn't mean that we're not a good representation of this genre as an art form. But not everybody's it's not going to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are going to hear it and be like, "Oh, that's terrible. I don't like that kind of music." You know, and that's fine. You know, a lot of people don't like death metal. A lot of people don't like black metal. A lot of people don't like punk rock. A lot of people don't like country music. A lot of people don't like, you know, line dance music. But whatever. You know, a lot of people don't like rap. You know, as far as the style goes, that's a taste preference. There is no right or wrong when it comes to that. It's like, you know, what appeals to one person's ear is not going to appeal to other people's ears. Our goal here was not to try to find the kind of music that's the most widely liked or accepted. You know, it's what we're going to play what we like, because this is our band. It's not someone else's band. If they like a different kind of music, go form your own band. Go put out your own kind of music that you like. This is what we like. See, you know, a lot of people have a hard time with that. They keep telling me, "Oh, I don't like that," or "Why are you doing it like this?" It's like, I'm not really interested in what people think of our musical style
at all.
We're going to play what we like.
Exactly.
The end. You know,
and more importantly, beyond the sound, sonically, beyond the actual sound of the band, a lot of people need to start waking up to the message. Right. You know, there are bands that I don't necessarily like their sound, but if their message is speaking about the truth, speaking about freedom, and breaking us from slavery, then I will listen to them.
And we will listen to music like that with an open mind.
Exactly.
You know, and support it because it's putting out a message of truth and freedom.
That's right.
Without a doubt. Yeah, great point. I totally agree, fully. So, I guess maybe it's a good time to talk about like some of the things we do get into in our songs, and maybe talk about some of the songs specifically, you know, and the writing process.
Yeah.
So, how about the song "A Nation of Sheep"? You know,
one of my favorites. I mean, you know, it just speaks for itself in the world that we're living in right now, and what this country has become. You know, how easily people will be duped into believing whatever the control system wants them to, without doing any critical thinking whatsoever. This song right here touches upon it.
The lack of courage, the ignorance, you know, that is prevalent in society. What the founders, you know, would think of us.
Yeah.
You know, the founding fathers of America. I mean, you know, the line, it opens up, if they could see America today, the founders would turn over in their graves. I mean, I think it's almost an understatement. The founders would chastise us to the nth degree for what we have allowed this country to degenerate into. This song is, you know, as all of our songs are, they're hard-hitting, they're in your face, They don't pull any punches. They don't mince words. I guess if we want to let people get a little bit of a preview lyrically, because I think this is something that I want to put out there for people to get the gist of what is, what the Founders really talk about in our music. So I'll just read the lyrics to this song, and, then we can continue with maybe another one. This song is called A Nation of Sheep. It goes, if they could see America today, the Founders would turn over in their graves. They'd be sickened by what this country has become, land of the cowards and the home of the effing dumb. A nation of sheep begets a government of wolves. Police state rising, a population of slaves. Fluoride in the water and the television rotting their brains. Ignorance, apathy, corruption everywhere you turn. History repeating cause these MFers don't want to learn. A nation of sheep begets a government of wolves. Fascists, neocons, and their corporate dupes. Marxists, communists, and their socialist tools. Liberals and conservatives, all brainwashed fools, while the people fall prey to totalitarian rule. If they could see America today, the Founders would turn over in their graves. The people in denial of truth they don't want to see. Submissive cattle who still believe they're free. A nation of sheep begets a government of wolves. I mean, that's the overarching message of what this band is bringing to the table and the way that we're saying it in this band.
Yeah. Not sugar-coated, not trying to make it seem like it's something else that it's not. This is exactly what it is. This is what we stand for.
When I introduced the next song that I want to talk about at the recent show that we played, I noticed that it made a lot of people uncomfortable because so many people still don't know what a false flag is, or so many people have been convinced that, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory.
Right. They don't even know the word and what it means,
right,
or where it came from,
And, when you try to let people know that a lot of the events that have been happening in this country are contrived, they are orchestrated, they are scripted, and they're there just to make people afraid so that then their rights can be stripped in the aftermath and claiming we need more security.
Yep.
People still get uncomfortable talking about this and still don't understand the tactic that's being used against them in a false flag attack.
Right.
It's amazing that the news media has been able to keep through what they will not talk about, people so ignorant of this basic tactic that's been used throughout history.
Yeah. Very ignorant to history in general are most people, unfortunately. They don't know what the Reichstag is. They don't understand what was done, through that to take away people's rights. And that same narrative has been used over and over and over again. And this song in particular really gets right to the heart of that. And, it's one of my favorite songs because this seems to be a perennial thing that they've been pulling, where it's just constant happening left and right. Every other week it seems like there's another false flag, and people don't seem to be waking up to it because the media is something that they rely upon still, and think that they are going to actually tell them the truth. They don't know who owns the media.
Boy, they hit us with so many false flags in 2015. I mean, we're at the end of the year, and I think this year had more than any other in history.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was almost like they were coming every week.
Yeah.
So as opposed to A Nation of Sheep, that song, the sound is very punk rock oriented. It's very hardcore punk sounding.
Yeah.
I would say the song Another False Flag, which is the song we're talking about, is our most hardcore song. This one sounds more in the hardcore genre.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So here's the lyrics, folks, for Another False Flag. How do you get the people to surrender their rights? Unleash an act of chaos that snuffs out a lot of lives. Blame it on an enemy. An easy lie to sell. Such an ancient tactic, but it works so goddamn well. 9/11, 7/7, Port Arthur, and Sandy Hook. The Boston bombing, Oklahoma City, WTC 93. It was another false flag. The times and places change, but the technique remains the same. Will the people see the truth and know where to place the blame? Order out of chaos, the most dangerous game. Understand the strategy or fall for it again and again. 9/11, 7/7, Port Arthur and Sandy Hook. The Boston bombing, Oklahoma City, WTC 93. It was another false flag. Just another false flag. Give up your freedom and we'll keep you safe. Give up your rights and you'll be just fine. Give up your freedom because you're afraid. Give up your rights and become our slaves. 9/11, 7/7, Port Arthur and Sandy Hook. The Boston bombing, Oklahoma City, WTC 93. It was another false flag. Just another false flag. And people are still, resistant to understanding that message because they don't want to believe that we're ruled by psychopaths.
Exactly.
That would do something like this.
Yeah. It's incredible that people don't have that discernment, that's been snatched away from them, to not see and understand that the paradigm for the left and right, is the same head of Hydra. It's the same beast, and they do not see that because they want to be fooled. People love to be fooled, and that's working a little too well. I mean, look at who is running right now for the presidency. It's absurd. It's a joke. A bunch of clowns. And as it is, people don't understand what it is to rule themselves, to become moral themselves, and to not need a master.
That's right. I heard a recent quote from Adam Kokesh. I believe it was Adam. He said, when people ask me who I'm supporting for the next president, I ask them, what kind of cancer do you like most?
Yeah.
I thought that was just great. That was just brilliant.
It's calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, exactly.
They are a cancer upon society, and if people don't see that, they have a lot they need to do some research about to find out what these people stand for, where they come from.
A lot of people are still in this naive mindset, especially people in music. This is a good point to just do a brief aside to talk about like the lack or small amount of true anarchists in music. So many people, you start talking out against government in general, and it turns them off because they're still under this delusional, childish, naive impression that people in government care about them and want to make life better for them. They actually still believe this nonsense.
Yeah.
It's a mindset of a 4-year-old child, literally.
Absolutely. To not even know, even within the lyrics of A Nation of Sheep, how you explain the fluoridation of the water. Most people don't even understand what that actually is. They're not even educated to understand.
Because they're fluoridated.
Exactly. So it's no wonder why we've got a lot of this fog going on and just absolute shameful behaviors of thought where people think that these people actually care about them. They're far gone and very lost.
They ascribe their own moral sensibility to other people, which is a dangerous prospect. I've talked about that a lot on the show in the past. Just because you wouldn't take an action that is highly immoral doesn't mean someone else would not take that action.
Exactly.
You're not that person. You don't know what their mindset is like. To just ascribe your moral sensibilities to someone else is a dangerous proposition because you have to understand the kind of psychopaths we're dealing with in the world. So, there's just such a small amount of people who are anarchists in the whole music circuit, and not only that, there's a small amount of people who understand real anarchy.
Right.
There's this fake form of anarchy that goes around in music that is really communism in disguise, socialism in disguise. People have to understand anarchy means exactly what you just said. No masters, no rulers, no authority, and that's it. It stops there. Yeah. If you try to inject something else into that, then you're usually bringing a system in place. And again, this form of music is supposed to be about saying, screw the system. We don't need a system of controls in place. We'll take a chance on chaos. That's what real anarchy is all about, shedding the fear of chaos.
Yeah.
You know, anarchy isn't chaos, but it involves that dynamic of refusing to give in to fear, and if chaos is a possibility, then so be it. I'd rather be free and chaotic than perfectly safe, orderly, and totally enslaved.
I believe Thomas Jefferson said, I prefer dangerous freedom. And that's something that
right.
I know for a fact, this band and as friends, what we stand for.
That's right.
You know, I prefer to live in dangerous
That's
freedom.
right. Without a doubt.
I don't want to be duped and lied to and, you know, be kissed with a lie. I'm sick and tired of seeing people wanting to have that be their reality, and, you know, they are a part of the problem.
Yeah. That fear that they give into and perpetuate is definitely the problem. And you know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll give me my 45 ACP, and I'll take my chances with the psychopaths and or even cannibals all around us. Yep. You know, I'm not interested in being protected. Anybody who wants to be protected is not a real man or a real woman.
That's right.
You know, you're responsible for your own self-defense and protection,
exactly.
And there's no excuse for not understanding those principles and arming yourself to be able to defend yourself if necessary. That's with right. Deadly force.
That's right, and that's what they're trying to take away
yep.
from people through all these false flags. They want to give the illusion that if our guns are taken away, that suddenly the terrorist is going to change its mind.
Or the criminal.
Yeah.
Or the government.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Good
is
luck
criminal.
With that. Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible that dialectic is being used and working.
Believed.
Yeah.
That's
it's
even
sad.
More amazing.
Very sad.
So, we have another song about scenesters, about people who just come out to be part of something, and they're not even really into the music. They're about making a fashion statement, you know, having a scene of friends, fitting in, stuff like that. And they're certainly not about rebellion.
Exactly.
They're the first people who will clear out when you start talking about rebellion. They're the first people that will get all timid, afraid, shut down, go glassy-eyed on you.
Yeah, God forbid they have a message of truth
right.
that's injected to their psyche. You know, that's again going back to the whole feel-good behavior,
right.
which they think they're any different from their parents. They're no different from their parents that continue to allow this slavery to take place in society.
That's right. You know, and they imagine that they are very different from their parents' generations. Why? Because they dress different. They got a few more tattoos than their parents ever had.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that makes you real different.
Or
it
even
has
technology.
Nothing to, yeah,
you know?
exactly.
People think that they're so hyper aware now that they've got their smartphones, which in my opinion the phone is only as smart as the user.
That's right.
And you know that's any different, but it's no different. I mean, it's even worse in fact, because they've got a library at hand that they could be looking up anything, but they choose to just be placated into being, you know, a slave for the system that wants to, you know, be, you know, a part of this system and be
they
popular.
Accept the whole paradigm that goes along with it. They accept the whole view of reality, the whole projected view of reality from the mainstream media.
Exactly.
These people, the worst part about this hipster generation is that they believe they're informed too.
Yeah.
They actually believe they know something. They think they know more than someone like me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They actually believe that they're highly informed people because they can click a few buttons and look something up on Wikipedia or something.
Right, yeah.
You know?
A government-controlled website anyway.
So, this song is called Hipsters in Costumes. So, I'll read the lyrics. Fake-ass scenester pieces of shit just trying to look the part. Conformist scum, just like your parents were. System lovers from the start. Your mouths move a mile a minute, but none of you got shit to say. You wouldn't know what punk really means if it smacked you in your tattooed face. All you want to do is belong. You don't want to rebel. You're nothing but hipsters in costumes, and you killed punk long ago. To you, punk is just about a look and a scene. It's about fitting in and making friends. Punk was never supposed to be about belonging to a crowd. It was supposed to be about taking the control system down. Fake-ass scenester pieces of shit, just trying to look the part. Conformist scum, just like your parents were. System lovers from the start. Your mouths move a mile a minute, and none of you got shit to say. You wouldn't know what punk really means if it smacked you in your tattooed face. All you want to do is belong. You don't want to rebel. You're nothing but hipsters in costumes, and you killed punk long ago. That's some of the lyrics I'm actually the most proud of for writing, because it's something that really needs to be said in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in this whole community of people.
Absolutely.
You know, which is like a scene. It is a bunch of scenesters. And we're going to come in and be the uncomfortable, discordant dynamic within that quote-unquote scene to make people uncomfortable. You know, because this is what punk rock has become.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I say you killed punk long ago. They killed what was the spirit of punk. Do I think punk is dead? No, I don't, because we're living proof that it's not.
That's right.
You know, and that's the other thing I want to talk about. Like, just as a personal side anecdote, I don't dress at all like I'm a punk rocker. You know, I've been into punk rock since I was a child.
Yeah.
Okay, listening to the Ramones, and other punk bands, but people will look at me and immediately associate, well, he doesn't dress like a punk rocker. Is that what a punk rocker is?
Right.
His hair isn't like a punk rocker.
Right.
Oh, is that what it is to be into punk and to understand punk rock?
Conformity.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I don't
if
have
you don't
your
look
uniform.
the part, then you don't fit in.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes in with mindset.
Yep.
And if you're not towing the line of what people have been, you know, lied to about, which they don't understand, these aren't even their own thoughts. That these are scripts written for them.
Yep.
You know, through
By
the
think
Tavistock,
tanks, yeah.
you know, the Fabian Society. If they don't know about that, then they're completely uneducated about what's been done to them.
That's exactly right. You know, steering mass movements of people. You know, steering societies in the way these think tanks want them to go. So that song, Hipsters in Costumes, I particularly like. It's absolute venomous vitriol, as you can hear. But I think it's needed vitriol.
Absolutely.
So part of my background, I was in a stoner rock, really stoner metal project years ago called Omega Lord. And, you know, we were kind of like the stereotypical stoner metal type band, themes that you might think of as part of that genre. But we also were very into freedom and rebellion, and we had a song called Not Gonna Die with Bullets in My Gun. Kind of kept that in this band. We kind of like took that song and were, if you will, covering it or just making it our own, since it was one of the songs that I was involved in the writing of when I was in Omega Lord. So this song is really about not giving up. You know, it's about you could interpret it from the perspective of a physical gun, but to not die with bullets in your gun means you did everything possible, that you didn't give up without trying, without a fight. Exactly. You know, so what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, I mean, it's just not giving up no matter what the opposition is bringing your way, which is a lot of people that are going to disagree, that are going to swear that they've done enough research to know what you're talking about to say you're wrong, and have no clue that they've been lied to. You know, I'm not giving up no matter what anybody tells me. You know, I've used my discernment, you know, in my life and where I've been around the world. I've seen it for what it is. I know that the control system is doing its best to take people like us and turn against each other and essentially run away from freedom because it's not popular. You know, the talking, or, you know, rather the topic of freedom and truth is something that most people scoff at.
That's right.
And I don't care if you want to scoff at it. I don't care if you don't think that that's cool or popular. That's not what I'm on this planet for.
That's right.
You know, what we're here to do is to bring morality back, to cut the chains of slavery. And I'm sick and tired of people trying to turn that away, from society. And I don't care if it makes me unpopular.
We're here to lead a rebellion against the practice of human slavery.
That's right.
Yep. So, the song Not Gonna Die with Bullets in My Gun. Here's the lyrics. You tried to hold me back. You tried to keep me down, tried to make me live your lie. This is where it ends. I'm taking my shot, ain't wasting no more time. Not gonna die with bullets in my gun. No surrender, no retreat, no compromise or peace. Let slip the dogs of war. And if you're in the way of this runaway freight train, gonna get run down for sure. Not gonna die with bullets in my gun. Not gonna die. No, I'm not gonna die with bullets in my gun. Fighting with my future, haunted by my past. Sure as hell wasn't the first, so F it all, 'cause I won't be the last. And if I have to go now, let it just be so. But I'm gonna take as many with me as I can. May not win the battle, may not even win the war, but I'm shooting all my rounds. Not gonna die with bullets in my gun. Not gonna die, no I'm not gonna die. Not gonna die, no I'm not gonna die with bullets in my gun.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really does get to the heart of what we stand for.
Never give up.
That's right.
Persistence. Yep. The universe will reward courage and persistence.
Exactly.
So one of our, I think, our more popular songs, especially sound-wise, very well. Just to go back quickly to "Not Gonna Die," I'd say that's our most metal-sounding song. That's definitely got an element of Motorhead style, metalish, punkish metal in it. I'd say that's definitely our most metal song that we have. If you want to consider any part of what we do, quote, metal. Right. I tend to really look at us as a straightforward hardcore punk band, but there's definitely elements of several genres in our music, you know.
Yeah,
so,
certainly a lot of undertones,
yep.
you know, from all of our outside influences, definitely, but culminated into one which I think is very unique in this genre of music. So
we'll just do a few more songs to talk about, just to give people an idea of what this band's all about. We'll do, Three Percenters. Again, this is probably one of our more popular songs sound-wise. This is really about the small amount of people who will rebel against any form of tyranny. You know, the 3% are who fought the American Revolution.
That's right.
I'd say maybe there's about 3% who are willing to fight the second one, should it be necessary to take it into the physical domain. And that'll be enough. It'll be, horrific if it has to go that way. But it was enough the first time. It'll be enough this time. But this song is really about what, are you a man or a mouse? Do you have real courage? Will you stand up? Will you stand together for freedom? Or will you run?
Yeah.
Will you be somebody who doesn't have the courage to stand up and run, and you'll count yourself in the other 97%?
Right. Yeah.
So you want to speak to this song or any part of the music?
This is one of my
it?
favorites because this is what we understand as far as the revolution that took place. These men and boys that fought for our freedom, I mean truly, not what's going on right now in occupied countries around the world. I'm talking about the guys that fought against the Tories.
Yep.
That said to the Redcoats, jog on.
That's right.
We don't want you here.
That's right.
And that's what we're willing to do because unfortunately the Redcoats are somewhat still here.
Oh, they're completely
the
still
Nazis
here.
and the Redcoats are here.
And the communists, all of them. And they all shook hands to say, we can't let this place be a bastion of freedom.
Exactly.
We have to take it down from the inside.
Yeah.
Too many people are here who will overtly, physically fight for their freedom when you're trying to overtly conquer them. But, if we take it covertly, if we take it through stealth, if we take it through mind control and subversive influences, then we have their minds and they'll just breed more people who are milquetoast people.
Exactly.
Total milquetoast, uncourageous,
Doughboys.
Yeah, doughy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the opposite of what the 3%ers were and are. Because those that are willing to give up their lives for the greater good, for freedom, these are men.
That's right.
These are men that are willing to actually go beyond their ego and say, enough is enough with evil. Enough is enough with tyranny.
Yep.
We will not put up with this
No
anymore
tolerance for any of those things.
whatsoever.
Nor should they be.
Whatsoever. And when you know what's going on in the present world right now, the poisoning of our food, air, and water, there is more than enough good reason with that. But again, I mean, the freedom's taken away from other individuals around the world through occupation. Enough is enough. You know, this has gone on long enough, and this is what this song is about.
That's right. So, here's the lyrics to the song 3%ers. When shit hits the fan, will you hit back? Or will you turn tail and run like a bitch? Grow a pair and get prepared to stand and fight the evil in our midst. 3%ers, we stand together. 3%ers in liberty or death. 3%ers fight to the last man, never surrender or retreat. Militia of the people fighting tyranny, might die on our feet, but we won't live on our knees. 3%ers, we stand together. 3%ers in liberty or death. Come and take it. Don't tread on us. Liberty or death. Don't tread on us. We're the 3%. Don't tread on us. Liberty or death. Don't tread on us, 'cause we're the 3%. When shit hits the fan, we'll hit back. We'll stand and fight until the end. If hope is still alive in this land, it lies with the 3%. 3%ers, we stand together. 3%ers in liberty or death.
Powerful lyrics.
Yeah, like, we're not messing around with the lyrics of these songs, with the message that we're bringing.
At all.
And I'm trying to explain to people as we're on the stage, too, this isn't an act. It's not a gimmick. It's not a joke. We're not playing. We're not, trying to make people think that we're something that we're not. It's as real as a heart attack, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's right.
This is who we are, and this is what we're talking about on stage. There's no distinction. So, two other songs. These are ones that we've written most recently, our two newest songs. We've not even performed one of these yet live. We have with one that we closed our most recent set with in Philly. But we'll be playing the second one that we'll be talking about at the next show. So we wrote a song called Kill the Masters, influenced by the television show Game of Thrones. The phrase that they put on that show, if people aren't familiar with it, there's a scene in it where former slaves are basically going through the city and killing the people who thought that they were legitimate masters of these people, legitimate owners of other people. And in one of the scenes, they actually paint the phrase on the wall with blood, "Kill the masters." So I said, that symbolically and literally even kind of depicts what needs to be done. But we need to kill the idea of mastery of other people. We need to put forward the idea of self-mastery and kill the notion that other people can legitimately be ruled by others.
Right. Exactly.
So, I'll let you speak to this song. Your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard that you wanted to write a song, "Kill the Masters," I was ecstatic about that, because we understand that on a deeper level. This isn't just some childish game of boo-hoo, I don't like being told what to do. This goes beyond that. This is explaining exactly what we see in society, what's being done to people. The slow kill, the kidnapping and rape of children by our masters, by these people that think that they are our masters, these immoral psychopaths. These people have got to go. We can no longer allow them to poison the psyche and the minds completely of anybody within society. It's got to be ended, and this is essentially from what we agree with. I mean, there is no reasoning with somebody that's completely immoral. To stand on that same level ground is not going to happen. We cannot do that with these people. You know, we can't sit and say, let's go into their courts and try and figure it out. People have been trying to do
like
this.
talking is gonna stop psychopaths from doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
From controlling others.
Precisely.
And harming others and raping people's rights.
Right.
You know, they don't care. You're up against an enemy that doesn't have any morality. It doesn't have any capacity for morality.
Exactly.
It doesn't have conscience. It's never going to develop conscience.
Exactly.
You know, when you've let that breed in society to a certain extent, it is eventually going to come down to physical confrontation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to, but where we're at, I feel, unfortunately, I've said in the last couple of weeks, I don't really think we're going to do it in consciousness now, which is a failure long term, and this will probably have to be done again at some point, you know, to get it in consciousness. But at the point that we're at, I'm very non-hopeful regarding the ability of humanity to get its mind out of the prison that the mental prison that humanity is in. It's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, and in order to unite, I agree that it's going to take a lot more. I mean, a lot more. But, you know, even more so, just speaking on that topic of how immoral these people are, you can't reason with an immoral person with no conscience.
Nope.
There have been hearings where they've gone into their courts, people that were a part of the MK Ultra program. And if you don't know about that, go to the back of Mark's podcast and start from number 1. You have to understand that there have been hearings in Washington for people to try to stop these things from happening to other people, and it never has stopped.
Right.
They've upped their game, and they've shut these people up. So I don't see any more reasoning with these people, you know? So that's why Kill the Masters is certainly one of my favorite songs.
So here's the lyrics, folks, to the song Kill the Masters by the Founders. Would-be kings without a conscience, claiming the right to rule over us. Their robot enforcers follow their orders, but they're nothing but gangsters and thugs. When ignorance reigns, this is the way that history always replays. Freedom destroyed. We hope you enjoy the new world order of slavery. Break out of their mind control. Embrace reality. We're going to make you see that there's no authority. Their system is illegitimate, and we are not their slaves. So kill the masters and break your chains. Power-hungry psychopaths raping liberty day by day. Every time they speak, they lie to you, so don't believe a word they say. The so-called leaders of this world are corrupt and illegit. They're rotten to the core. What's even more, their system ain't worth shit. Break out of their mind control. Embrace reality. We're going to make you see that there's no authority. Their system's illegitimate, and we are not their slaves. So kill the masters and break your chains.
Phenomenal. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of message you're going to hear at a Founders show. It's not going to be sugar-coated. It's not going to be for the faint of heart. It's not going to be for the wishy-washy, milquetoast doughboys.
Yep.
You know? I know that's the new trend. I know that's the new thing that's considered attractive in society.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
A dude who has no bass in his voice and looks like a woman.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, the
but,
androgyny.
You know, right.
It's absurd. But even worse, though, is
satanic agenda.
going
Androgyny.
along with a system that's gotten the minds. And something that Hitler said, this is a direct quote from him, saying, where the women go, the men and children follow.
That's right.
And what we see today is a bunch of doughy, I can't even call them men. I mean,
yeah, we need a new term. We need a new. I was talking with our other guitarist. I'm sorry, our bass player John about this, and you know, we were saying we need a new term for the inauthentic woman and the inauthentic man.
Yeah.
Because we're degrading the word man and woman, which are sacred words.
Absolutely.
By even referring to these people as men or women, which they most certainly are not.
In no way, shape, or form, And it's working, unfortunately, within society, and you see it with these so-called men that they'll do anything to get the attention of a woman, even if it means just being ignorant, going along with everything, and it's happening rampantly.
Yep.
Just for the sake of popularity and
to not be ostracized.
Yeah,
exactly. God forbid.
Exactly.
That person might, their whole scene of people might not want to hang out with me, or might marginalize me somehow. Like that's important. Like what some moron who has no idea about what's going on in the world thinks of me is important.
Right. Yeah. It's absurd.
Some know nothing.
It's absurd.
We need new terms for people like this. We like a man golem or a man bot or a fem golem or a fembot.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. We can't call them men and women anymore because it's a degradation of the term. But we need to come up with some kind of a term for the garbage element of society that loves the slavery system. The man golem and the fem golem.
Yeah.
Last one we'll do, and then I want to talk about bands we like and some influences that we've had throughout our musical careers. Bands that are doing it right. Bands that are rebelling against the system and talking about similar things that we're talking about. Also, I want to talk about fake forms of rebellion in music. That's important for people to understand. How they're putting out this with this kind of a message or so-called angst, but it's just a distraction against what's really going on.
Yeah.
So last song I want to touch on is the newest song. We just finished writing this at the last rehearsal session. It's called Stand and Fight. And that's the tagline of the NRA as well, folks, is Stand and Fight. I actually, didn't like the NRA in the past because I thought they were too soft on a lot of gun control legislation. But they've really been going after a lot of states that have been implementing unconstitutional anti-Second Amendment gun laws. They've been using those dues to really fight these people. So I think they've gotten a little bit more hardcore in recent years. There are people who will disagree with that, but and I like other gun lobby groups, like Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, Gun Owners of America, etc. Mm-hmm. But I am an NRA member. I actually subscribe to that and pay dues to keep my membership because they're doing decent things with that. They're promoting awareness of Second Amendment issues that are important in society, and
Absolutely.
I think they've amped up their rhetoric quite a bit as far as I see.
Which is needed right now more than ever with all of these false flag attacks, these controlled
Without a doubt.
things that they keep throwing out there so they could try to take our guns away. They literally think, like Eric Holder, that psychopath, that lying piece of crap saying we got to brainwash people
To think about guns in a different way.
in a different way.
Yeah.
So we could do this daily. And
Openly talking about that they're just going to...
Quoted by somebody saying this on
Brainwash
television, and look at what they're doing. They're doing it in plain sight.
Yep.
And, there's no other reason why they shouldn't be ramping up the NRA and, putting out what they believe in. It needs to be done. And
Without
that's why
a doubt.
we're doing what we're doing.
That's right. Stand and Fight, moreover, is really about standing your ground, not giving in, not going quietly, pushing back, because the people who are doing this have no right to do it. So here's the lyrics: Stand and Fight. By the way, this is a tagline on our badge or button that we bring to our shows and give away for free to people. It's a tagline on the back of the shirts that the founders just recently pressed. We do have t-shirts available. You can get them at our shows. Going to be going into the studio and recording a demo very shortly. Maybe even, an EP type of thing.
Yeah.
But here's the lyrics to Stand and Fight. No surrender, no retreat, no quarter, no prisoners. We reject your brave new world of death and tyranny. Our souls we will not sell. We embrace our sovereignty. We will not surrender our freedom and our rights. We will not go quietly into the night. Stand and fight. We will speak the truth to all we meet, both near and far. We will not be silenced, and we will not be disarmed. We will not stand down. We're active and we care. We will not comply, because we're awake and aware. Stand and fight. No surrender, no retreat, no quarter, no prisoners. We bring to all who hear our words just one philosophy. No masters and no slaves. Death to all authority. When tyranny threatens everyone and we've run out of time, it all comes down to one decision. Join us or die. Stand and fight. I mean, that's as hardcore as it gets, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
You know, the Founders are definitely a band for the new 3%ers. Let's just put it that way. That's about how many percent of people that I would figure would probably be into our music and message, because they have enough spirit and they have enough intelligence and they have enough courage to even be into a band like this.
That's right.
You know, it's not the popular approach for 100% sure, but you know what? It's spreading a message of truth and freedom to the masses, and you cannot unhear something. You know, you can reject it, but you heard it.
Yeah.
And you cannot unhear a message of truth. So, Mike, what I really want to get into next is bands you like. Like, who do you think's doing it right? Who do you think's putting good stuff out there?
There are definitely some great bands that are bringing the message of truth out there and doing it in a way that is very unique. You know, a few bands that I have to say on the top of my list, you know, and I think you'll agree with this, I did mention before, The Exploited.
One of my favorite bands, personally.
Yeah, same here. And in fact, that was the first band as friends and as a band together that we all saw together.
That's right.
And
we actually went and saw them when they came to the U.S. for the first time in about 15 or so years, a couple months back during the summer.
Powerful. Very powerful. Great show. And, you know, they are true anarchists. And they come from Scotland.
Right.
And the oppression that they have had to put up with is
Sure.
an absolute real reason why they believe in what they believe in. It's not just for this look and fashion. You know, they believe in anti-authority, you know, taking a chance on chaos.
Right.
And, you know, taking it to the next level rather than saying there's something wrong with this picture, actually saying what needs to be done. Here's the solution. And, you know, they're one of those bands. Another band that I've been listening to for many years that's one of my favorite bands is Killing Joke.
Right.
And
great band.
They've been doing it since the get-go. I mean, since '84, you know...
I mean, talking about real issues and, you know, a lot of hidden, occulted elements of society.
Exactly. And doing it in a way that it's tangible, you know? It's tangible for anybody, but you could feel what it is that they're talking about. I mean, they're speaking about Bohemian Grove, MK Ultra, Tavistock Institute, ending the Fed,
right?
Calling out Bono. I mean, that right there.
Oh, has he gotten the groom of the stool position yet?
Yeah, right.
Apparently, he's hot for that. You know.
Oh boy. You know, anybody that's talking out against a fake guy like that, I respect them wholeheartedly. You know,
and yet he'll fill whole arenas of people.
Yeah.
You know, who love popular stuff.
Yeah.
Again, and there's an example where musically, I don't have a problem with what a band like that is doing, but look at what he's involved in.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So why would I support that?
And you know whose ass he's kissing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Look at the people he's mingling with. You know, take a look at that, and it will give you a very honest perspective of what he's
more
about.
like wiping them.
Exactly. Exactly. You know?
So, all right, Exploited, Killing Joke. I want to throw one out there.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that goes hand in hand.
And this is why they're so attacked by the system, especially religion.
Yeah.
You know, oh, they have a dark name. Oh, they sing about all this dark stuff. Yeah, because they're making people aware of it.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
This is the band that has been doing that for more years than anybody else, and are still doing it.
Exactly.
I mean, their new album. The way I saw their new album, it is like saying to all the little boys out there, hey, boys, let us show you how it's actually done.
Yeah.
You know? Because you've been copying us ad infinitum, trying to sound like us, and let us show you the real deal and how it's really done. And it just like makes a mockery of all the Sabbath imitations in stoner rock, etc.
Down crap that's out
and it's
there.
all generic too. It's like, stoner rock. When I was playing stoner metal 12, 13 years ago, nobody was into it. It wasn't hip. It wasn't cool.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's the big thing, especially in somehow East Coast cities.
Yeah.
This has become the big thing.
Yeah.
And it's like every band sounds exactly identical to each other.
That's
you can
right.
go out on any given night, see a stoner rock lineup, and it's like rehashed riffs.
Yeah.
There's no real originality to it. And it's just like, it's just to be cool and to follow the trend.
Yeah.
First of all, you're about 13 years late on that, guys.
Yeah.
Hate to break that news to you.
But even worse,
you missed the wave. Sorry.
Looking at a band like Black Sabbath, these youngins that have listened to them, they heard a song like Sweet Leaf, and they didn't even listen to the message.
Right.
They just said, oh, they like to smoke weed.
Right.
We are going to do the same thing, and we're not even going to listen to the message. So they're just spreading nothing but ignorance, these kids. So, yeah, I mean, they are showing these youngins how it's done. And,
right.
It's great. These guys are in their older age, and they're pushing hard, so it's good to see, man.
I mean, the songs Sabbath have put out, War Pigs, Electric Funeral.
Yep.
A lot of songs off Master of Reality. How about Children of the Grave?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
After
Incredible.
Forever, about
Yeah.
religion
Exactly.
and religious views, or even anti-religious views.
Yep. And on the new album, Zeitgeist, I mean,
right.
A very eclectic song like that with a message,
Another band I've always been into that I feel did take a lot of influence from Black Sabbath but took it to a whole new level is Cathedral.
Oh,
Cathedral is one of my favorite bands of all time. Always talking about breaking down the control system, breaking mind control.
Exactly.
First of all, that's the intro music of this show, is a Cathedral song.
Yep.
These guys are from the UK. Lee Dorian, who was the former singer of Napalm Death, started Cathedral, I believe, back in the early 90s, in 89 or 90. And it's just, these guys have been one of the strongest doom metal influences in the world, and they have a very powerful and relevant message. I mean, talking about mind control, the song Satanicus Roboticus, satanic robots is what this society's trying to breed. Mm-hmm. Just about every song off Caravan Beyond Redemption, the intro song comes from that album, Freedom. The song Revolution, the song Iconoclast.
Yeah.
I mean, just listen to the words of that one. That's from, I believe, the Seventh Coming. Just all their albums, one is heavier than the next. Very powerful band. Go ahead, you throw one in.
All right. I have to say, out of recent times, a band that is doing it, or was doing it, they're not playing as much anymore. They'll do a show here and there, is System of a Down.
Oh, sure.
And, these guys, their parents fled the Armenian genocide, something that most Americans and most of the world know nothing about.
I did not even know that.
Yeah, and it all had to do with gun control, folks. And this is what they're trying to do here. You think that's going to end up very well, then you got another thing coming. But, they get into everything. I mean, they talk out against Hollywood. They talk out against the psychotic behaviors of this system. I mean, one of my favorite songs of theirs is the Prison Song, where it just blatantly is saying they're trying to build a prison for you and me, and how they've hiked up the rates of people going into prison, how we're used as nothing more than cattle for them to make money off of.
They also have a song about chemtrails.
Yeah. You know, I mean, they get into all of it, what's being done to us, and why it is important to stand up against it.
The Founders are going to put out a song about chemtrails as well. It's one of the next songs we're going to write. It's called "Sprayed Like Bugs."
Yep.
That's going to be coming up. System of a Down, definitely great band. How about in connection with Black Sabbath, of course, Dio?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I call him the sage of heavy metal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From everything that he did in Rainbow to, the actual band Dio. I mean,
The Gates of Babylon.
Yeah, Kill the King.
Yep.
One of my favorites. I mean, he had not only a powerful stage presence, but the message in his lyrics were very, very beautifully written.
Sure.
So yeah, that's another one of my favorites right there.
Let's see. One of my biggest influences, as far as persona goes in music, is Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
The Doors, of course, became very popular, but Morrison was one of these people who really woke up to the control system. A lot of people, have talked about his connection with his father in intelligence,
Right.
in naval intelligence.
Exactly.
Very quite possible why they possibly assassinated Morrison. The death definitely didn't make much sense. It was in a bathtub, of course. This harkens to the killing of the king ritual. I've talked about this in another interview series. He was known as the Lizard King.
Right.
This whole idea that we're going to take a possible very influential member of society that could be a change agent on a wide scale and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
This was done with Kennedy. He was synchronistically associated or synchromistically associated with Arthur of Camelot. Hence, he was president. So the killing of the king. You had Michael Jackson, more likely than not ritualistically murdered, and he was the king of pop. And you can go on and on. Elvis Presley, the king of rock.
Yeah.
Again, possibly ritualistically, taken down from his position and murdered. You see how this is also done with females being built up to be destroyed, particularly in pop music.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
yeah.
The Doors were always a big musical influence for me, and of course Jim Morrison, who basically got on stage repeatedly during his career and told his own audience that they were a bunch of slaves, that they were a bunch of weaklings and soft people who were letting themselves be pushed around, and called them slaves to their faces.
Yeah. Sometimes things like that really do need to be done and said.
Yeah.
Just straight out.
It's like, what are you
sugarcoating.
allowing?
Yeah.
What are you allowing to happen to yourself and your society?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to throw another one out there?
Yeah. I'd have to say they're not a favorite band of mine by any means. I do appreciate what they're doing, being in mainstream, because that's something that does take courage, because you could easily become very well unliked if that message gets brought across the wrong way. Muse, an English band, they have come straight out over the last 2 albums talking out against mind control, against war, and the latest album is called Drones, and it's what it is.
Yep.
So when I look at that band in particular, I feel bad sometimes because their audience is a large audience, and it doesn't seem like they're really getting it in their minds because people don't read lyrics. They're not reading the lyrical content, which is so important. It's utterly important if you want to get the message of what a band is trying to bring across.
I'm familiar with them, and I've liked some of their lyrics, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
It's, again, not really what I tend to prefer musically, but...
Sure, yeah, and same
for
here.
what they do, they're pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for what it's worth, I'm sure there are some people that have gotten some sort of knowledge from this information that they put in there and awoken to whatever's going on right now. Hopefully, that's what I hope for what they've done. But,
especially with a big audience like that.
Yeah, a
I'm
large
gonna
audience.
throw another couple out there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more popular. Pink Floyd. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
they talked out against mind control and indoctrination of the youth.
Totally and completely. Yeah.
I mean, I attended Roger Waters doing The Wall, you know, the whole double album, and I felt like people didn't even understand what was being said. You know, they didn't
because they
even
haven't
get
read
what
the
was being
lyrics.
said.
Yeah.
About how dictatorships rise to power, and you know how people are conformists and they build walls of barriers of identity up for themselves. And it's
Exactly.
just they don't really get it because they're not paying attention to what's being said.
Yeah.
You know, it's all just about hanging out and listening to the music and having a good time. You know, how about Megadeth? Megadeth is a band that puts it out there pretty plainly.
Big time.
Yeah,
Big
Dave
time.
Mustaine is pretty awake.
One of my favorite bands, certainly. You know, I mean, he's not afraid to say it how it is, and is an incredible musician. You know, somebody that you know came from a band like Metallica and continued on the way he did, but went even further. You know, nothing against Metallica. I like them as well. Their older stuff more. You know, but he went the extra mile by actually putting truth into his music beyond what Metallica was doing, in my opinion. You know, and
he knows that it's a mind control agenda. How there's covert weapons used, subversive influence used.
Exactly.
You know, so
Exactly.
he injects that into it in addition to the political stuff. I think we just got to get him a little further to convert him to full anarchy.
yeah, exactly.
But definitely a very good band performance-wise as well, Megadeth. I've seen them a couple of times and was never disappointed with their stage presence and performance. Like
Great
very,
musicianship.
very tight
Yeah.
musical band, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Just a couple more. Nuclear Assault, old school thrash band.
Yeah, dude.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Again, talking out about mind control. They have a song called Brainwashed.
Yep.
You know, telling people stop listening to these popular forms of media. They're just trying to tell you what to think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have other songs that are about, you know, thinking for yourself and not listening to other people's opinions. And you know, you know best what's best for you. Stop listening to society trying to make you conform to what they think is best for you. You know.
Yep.
I always loved their musical style too.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here.
So Havoc is a really good
Great.
modern thrash band, very
Yeah.
technical modern thrash band, real speed metal.
Yeah.
And they speak openly about all the subversive political agendas going on. You know, about you know the need for rebellion in society. So that's a band that I really appreciate. Anybody else you want? Oh, we left out one of the probably most important and really forthright bands when it comes to a message
Oh,
of true
yeah.
freedom, and that's Sons of Liberty.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I would love for the founders and Sons of Liberty to have a gig together sometime.
As would I.
You know, that would be
Yeah.
like a perfect band for us to maybe open up for in the future, because
Absolutely.
these guys are putting it out there very, very, very plainly for people, talking about the Federal Reserve, you know, talking about the loss of freedom in America, how we're becoming a police state, how the world is enslaved.
Yep.
Just openly discussing these themes in their music.
Yeah, it's not sugar-coated. It's very naked, out in the open, and it's attainable for those that are liberty-loving human beings that actually want to know the truth, that want to live it, and not just be placated into being entertained
Right.
and shutting off their brain. I mean, that's all well and good, you know, if you want to sit down and watch a film, but, you know, when that's all you want to do is just be entertained,
Yep.
you know, that you're just turning off your brain, and you're not going further, you know, you're not adding to freedom, certainly, when that's happening.
Speaking of Sons of Liberty and people who just want to be entertained, I mean, I recently saw a piece of YouTube footage from one of their concerts. By the way, we're talking about the band Sons of Liberty is a side project of Mike Schaefer from Iced Earth, another pretty popular metal band that talks about a lot of these themes as well. That's a band that should be included in this discussion. But Sons of Liberty was playing a gig, and Schaefer was on stage trying to explain to people about the loss of freedom in society and how, these people are trying to completely take over every aspect of our lives. And you hear a couple of people in the background at the show saying, you could hear it on camera, them saying, just play the song. We just want to hear the music. It's just like, why would a person like that even be at a Sons of Liberty show?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, you don't know what this band is all about.
Right.
Yeah. They're three percenters,
Absolutely.
without question.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's talked about his attitude, his mental attitude. Schaefer has said in interviews, I'm a feral human being. I'm like a caveman. You're not going to control me.
Right.
And I'm intelligent.
Yeah.
And that's the thing this system fears the most.
Absolutely.
It fears an intelligent, feral man that will not be put in bondage and chains.
That's right. And they're trying to breed that out of society. They're trying to keep men from being desirable that are like that to women that want a slave. They want somebody that's going to lay down, not cause any ripples whatsoever. And that's what's happening right now. We're watching that take place.
Yep.
And it's very unfortunate, but
I chuckled when you said that, Mike, because I could tell a little personal anecdote. It's almost becoming like a tradition on the show now. Yeah. Just as a brief aside, I actually, and I was telling Barb this the other day. It was I was out with another friend who was having some problems, and I was trying to talk to him about the situation that he was in. I won't mention any names, but I was at a pub, and there was a table of a few women sitting having drinks and food, and I was at the edge of that area where that table was at the bar, and they were having a discussion. And I couldn't help but overhear some of the things that they were saying. But when they got into a discussion about their view of men, I have to just confess and admit I did start kind of deliberately eavesdropping a little bit. Okay, just to hear what was being said, what was coming out of their mouths. Right. And one woman actually turned to the other woman and said, I have to be honest. And she did not know I was listening or could hear, but I was definitely within earshot range, but my back was turned to her, and I was really trying to tune out the other noise and really listen to what she was saying. Right. And she said, what I really want in a man, what I want a man to be, is my slave. She actually, I swear to God, ladies and gentlemen, this was spoken aloud. She actually said, what I want in a man, what I want a man to be, is my personal slave. And she wasn't joking or kidding. And they didn't view it as a big joke. Yeah, they laughed like, you're saying it right out in the open. Because they're basically thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is the reason they are enslaved. Exactly. They don't even understand the very reason you are a slave and don't even know you're a slave because you're too ignorant to even recognize that fact because you haven't even looked into anything. You're a slave because you think like this. Exactly. That is the causal factor. Because what it happens in the mental realm gets reflected in the physical realm, especially if it's happening in the aggregate sense. Yep. Then that happens in the aggregate sense societally.
Exactly. When one suffers, all suffer.
Right.
And that's what we're witnessing.
And that mentality is creating the slavery that is being perpetuated. That's and right. They don't understand that. They don't understand that that's how natural law works. As many people are thinking like that, that's going to be given to you by the universe.
Exactly. Precisely.
And they're enslaved because they think like that. But we got into this topic because we were talking about people who just want to be entertained, just want to hear music. They don't want to hear the message of freedom injected in something. A band like Sons of Liberty, again, very popular band, Iced Earth. This is a side project of theirs, and you have people saying, "I just want to come because I want to hear the music, and I don't really want to take part in that discussion about rebellion. That they don't want to be feral. They don't want to be untamed because they're worried about what's what's this person going to think? What's that person going to think? Is this person going to like me? Is this person going to ostracize me? Am I going to be popular with women? You know, am I going to be popular amongst my peer group? You know, and that's where this social engineering aspect comes in, where they're actually trying to make women not desire, not be attracted to, not want a guy who has any of those quote-unquote feral, masculine, untamable qualities that will stand up for his rights, that will stand up for his freedom, because subconsciously they're like somebody who plays with the system, you know, and complies with the system. They make more money. They're not harassed.
Exactly it.
You know, they're going to be easier to control because they can be controlled in this sense. So they're going to be easily controlled by me and influenced by me.
Yep.
You know, and they have what I call the mini-me Satanism mindset.
Absolutely.
The controllers are the big Satanists, and these are the mini Satanists. You know, they're propagating the whole system by what they're thinking in the aggregate sense, but they're just a smaller version of their psychopathic satanic controllers.
Exactly.
Any other bands you want to throw out there?
Yeah. Dead Kennedys is definitely up there. You know, more so from my younger age.
Old school punk and hardcore punk.
You know, they got right out there. I mean, if the name doesn't tell you what they were about, I mean, they basically spoke out against the system. You know, and that's something that resonated within me.
Yep.
You know, since I was a teenager. So yeah, that's definitely.
No, we're probably leaving a million names out of this, but
yeah,
I mean, I think that's a good place. Well, how about some rap? Because, you know, we've been talking about metal, hardcore punk, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I like rap personally.
Yeah,
you know, I don't listen to a whole lot of it because I really limit to conscious rap.
Right.
One of my favorite conscious rappers is Paris. I mean, if you've heard this guy's stuff, I mean, he could say so much in so few words. He's from the Gorilla Funk label. I think people should check out all the rappers on that label, but Paris, I think, is one of the people who really stands out.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm not as familiar with Paris, but as far as I know, you know, he's very similar to a guy like Immortal Technique.
Sure.
You know, where he's very colorful with what he's saying, and he's not sugarcoating a thing for anybody. But as far as hip-hop goes, you know, Immortal Technique for me is definitely up there.
A guy I've been checking out a lot recently is K Reno.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Great.
Probably the best lyrical writer, and the flow of his raps lyrically are just incredibly impressive. But he gets into mind control in the stuff that he talks about, the occult stuff. Definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely.
How about our personal friend, Saint Pete? I mean, this is a guy who has to come up and get more popular in the music circuit in rap because he is just incredibly talented.
Yeah, there's just the message he brings is about truth. It's about the tyranny taking place in society, but the power behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he opened up for us for our first show, and I was in the back green room, just, you know, going over some chords and warming up before we went on, and listening to him in the back, man. I was so fired up because he's not sugarcoating it. He's saying it how it is, and he's doing it in a very educated way.
Right.
You know, so
without a doubt. Yeah. Very, very, very intelligent guy. Saint Pete, folks, I mean, you got to check this guy's stuff out. Just brilliant.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
KRS-One. That's
sure.
Some old school stuff. You know, this is a very learned man. He understands the dark occult. You know, he could call it out very well, and, you know, some enjoyable songs out there, you know. So he's definitely up there.
You know, that gives you an idea of like what we're about musically, I think. You know, I think that's a good place to leave the section of, you know, the topic of bands we like.
Right.
How about people who are doing it wrong? How about people who are... There's a lot of those.
Too many.
How about, you know, this idea of petty rebellion, of, you know, trying to get people focused on this, but, you know, really that's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, there's too much of that going on where it's in my opinion, I see it to be no different from the George Soros race wars
Right.
that he funded. I mean, it's the same rhetoric, the same thing, and a lot of these guys don't really realize what they're doing is actually pinning everybody up against each other, you know? And, one guy I can think of that's an absolute sellout completely, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, this guy, come on, he goes and says, vote or die, back, when Bush was running,
Wow.
and then he's now saying, don't vote, but yet he's still in love with the system, still putting out the same garbage music. There's no message behind
Right.
it, so I see it for what it is. I mean, it's just garbage.
Just scenester, punk rock, I always found a contradiction in terms pop punk.
Yeah.
I hate
Punk
that
rock
term.
is not pop.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing
like,
pop
if it's
about
pop, you don't understand. It's not punk.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
you,
right.
You can't put those things together. They're oxymorons. You
Yeah.
know, they're diametrically opposed opposites. Now, a band we didn't discuss who I thought really had a phenomenal message of freedom early on, but then went in a completely different direction for many years. Now, I think they're very slightly beginning to get an edge back, is Metallica.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any discussion about, metal could be complete without talking about the path they went down.
Absolutely.
A lot of people feel they sold out. I think somebody got to them. I think after the album And Justice for All, which if you just listen to the lyrics on that album, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what you think about the sound of the album.
Right.
The lyrical content alone is one of the most
message.
absolutely anti-government albums out there.
Yeah.
And then in the next album, they're not talking about any of it. And it's, a black cover with the Gadsden snake hidden.
Yeah.
As if they
Very
were trying to
small.
send a message, I think perhaps someone got to them and said, you want to be the next Elvis Presley? You want to be the next, Jim Morrison? Well, keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they didn't really have the nerve to say, okay, whatever you think you need to do, we're going to do what we need to do.
Right.
I think they just said, we'll go with the program, at least for a while. And that's when you saw Hetfield's, total alcoholism come in.
Yeah.
Because I think he knew what he was doing was, I think if anything, of the members left in the band, he might have the most possible, chance to really still fully awaken and bring a good message of freedom to people.
Yeah, he's the lyric
Because
writer.
Cliff Burton was really doing that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
his influence is still all over And Justice for All.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. It's a shame he's not with us any longer.
Right. But I think they were somehow gotten to and decided
Very
to cave.
possible. Very possible.
Because the transformation between those two albums, it's too sudden.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Truly.
So I just wanted to say that. We were talking about other bands that, lead up what you might call a false sense of rebellion or just uphold the system completely. Are there bands that you think are, fully satanic and just uphold the system,
Exactly.
love the system of slavery as it is?
Yeah. Yeah. One band I can think of that comes to mind. And musically, again, this is how it works, folks. I mean, they paint it the way they want to bring people in, they reel them in, and, they make it all seem like it has to do with rebellion and going against the system or, just being rebellious, period. But most of the time it's just garbage. And one band that I think of is a band called Ghost BC, and they're from Sweden. This band comes from a black metal band called Repugnant. And now, for those out there that don't understand what black metal is a genre of music that is 100% satanic. I mean, they literally use satanic imagery, lyrical content, has everything to do with eugenics, and, you name it, this is what these people stand for. And unfortunately, a band like Ghost are actually doing pretty well within the music scene. And, the lead singer dresses like the Black Pope, and their songs have everything to do with child rape, black mass, and sacrifice. And yet they're drawing large crowds of people. And unfortunately, and I understand this mindset of a young person that wants to go against the system, that
Yep.
wants to be rebellious in nature, and sees the corruption within, things like the Vatican, or just, the Christian church in general. I'm not saying that all people that follow these religions are that way, but the people that are the spearhead of
Right.
these religions, they are very immoral people, and I understand that you would want to go against that, and that's something that I can attest to, because when I was younger, I grew up in a Christian household, and it from what I saw from it, I saw a lot of fakeness. I saw a lot of false reality going on with adults that they were trying to put upon me, that made me angry and want to go against it. So I started listening to black metal and thinking that was the right way to rebel, and I realized over years, and specifically when I had lived downtown in Manhattan in New York, in the financial district in Battery Park for a few years, what a Satanist really was, and this is before I actually knew what it really stood for. It wasn't this red devil. It wasn't
Right.
this entity that's sitting with a pitchfork. This is a mindset.
That's
people.
right.
And I saw it outright. I saw it for the years that I lived out there, and was repulsed by the people that lived in that neighborhood. Not everybody, but by and large, the materialistic behaviors of people and the me mentality is so overridden that you can't miss it when you're in that neighborhood.
You can't escape from it.
One of the
Yeah.
biggest false flags took place in that neighborhood, and yet people are flocking to it, to go to Ground Zero, like it's Disney World,
Right.
And don't even remotely question what took place.
Worshiping the official story.
Exactly. I mean, the 9/11 Truth
It just
Museum
reinforces all of their predispositions and prejudices, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, this whole false rebellion, it's just a dialectic. They're saying, well, you don't like this aspect of the control system. Oh, here we have the other arm for you. You could flock right into the arms over here, and we'll take you in. But you're not going to get anything different.
Right.
I mean, that's what I fell for earlier when I moved towards Satanism, because I hated organized religion to the extent that I did. Because that was one aspect of the control system. And then when you see what that is, and you say, I'm done with this, well, hey, we have this other arm of the bird of prey, this other wing of the bird of prey, ready and waiting for you.
Yeah.
We'll gladly take you into that.
Right.
We'll call it rebellion, but you're just going to get more slavery.
Exactly. Exactly.
Till people wake up to the fact that this is a dialectic, and there is a way out of that. It's by rejecting the dialectic, realizing these are all aspects of the control system, and you have to break free of all of those forms of mind control.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
I guess that's really basically what I really wanted to get into, but I'll leave the floor for you, Mike, and talk about anything else that you want to get into, and then
Sure.
we can wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with what we're speaking about right now, with the false message of rebellion, there are bands that try to paint themselves as being rebellious, and I touched upon that within the metal scene, and we did touch upon that within the punk rock scene, and a band that I actually knew personally, that their entertainment lawyer was a friend of mine, and we ended up hitting it off. And I was pretty young at the time. I was in my early 20s, and in my mindset, I thought that they were cool because they were popular, and I didn't know any better. That their message of rebellion, this false pretense of just taking the same line that's being given by the media, because let's just face it, I mean, everybody pretty much knows that George Bush is a very unpopular man in America. I mean, for the most part. And that was something that I noticed with their music, that they just would toe the line, that they would say exactly what you want to hear and still be asking for a master, essentially, which is completely immoral. These guys are not about a message of truth. And as I got to know them, I realized all they cared about was partying, the feel good. Which, look, if you want to have a good time, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. But they in no way were promoting the message of truth. They were very self-indulgent and did not care about anything other than themselves and money. So, for them to call themselves punk rock couldn't be further from the truth, these guys. And there's a lot of that goes on within the musical scene, unfortunately. But, I gotta say, people gotta use discernment. You can't just jump on a bandwagon and think that these people care about them. Same way as government,
Right.
that they're gonna actually bring them a message of truth. You gotta do some discernment and critical thinking. And
A lot of times they're being promised things.
Yep.
We'll give you money and fame and power, etc. They're just towing the line because of what they're being promised.
Exactly.
And that goes on not only in government, of course, but in religion. It goes in music, in all aspects of our lives.
Yep.
In the financial world, business world, etc.
Absolutely.
I think discernment is a huge problem for a lot of people, because they don't take in all the points of view, all the information, and then, filter it and analyze it and, see what comes out in the wash, so to speak,
Exactly.
They're just very easily led and influenced, and that's why they're using music to lead and influence people, because it is a form of art that can reach the subconscious mind quickly and can say a whole lot in so few words. So it's a tool, and it's how it's used. It could be used as a mechanism of enlightenment, and it can be used as a mechanism of mind control. It's about the consciousness of the wielder of the tool.
Exactly.
Mike, I am proud and honored to have you as one of the wielders of the Founders Sonic Assault. And it's a blessing that we met, and
The feeling's
we met
mutual.
on the 4th of July.
That's right.
Of this year, and it's been a great relationship, both as friends and musically, ever since. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your views on the modern state of music and rebellion within the musical community. So thanks for coming on What on Earth is Happening, and we should do this again sometime in the near future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mark.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Thompson of The Founders. TheFounders.us. The most extreme 3%er hardcore punk band that you will ever hear, musically and lyrically. So come out to see The Founders here in Philadelphia on February 27th, Saturday night, February 27th, at Connie's Rick Rack in South Philadelphia. You could check out their website, conniesrickrack.com. Check out our website, thefounders.us. I'll be putting a poster up on thefounders.us and at What on Earth is Happening when I make it for this show. And don't forget, I'll be speaking live here in Philadelphia in February, be getting an exact date on that. It's going to be called myself and Jay Parker, both speaking live on the same day, full day seminar. It's going to be called Demystifying the Occult Part 2, Satanism and the Dark Occult. You're not going to want to miss that, because the two insiders into this world talking about what they know about what goes on in Satanism and the Dark Occult. Myself and Jay Parker. That's coming up in February in Philadelphia at the Ethical Society. And, of course, Free Your Mind 4, April 15th, 16th, and 17th, freeyourmindconference.com. Do not miss that biggest conference of its kind anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day, everyone. See you next time.